Right, question 39. Polynomial here is divided by x plus 2. The remainder is minus 24. Show that a is equal to 5. So first of all, if we call our polynomial f of x equals 6x cubed plus ax squared minus 3x minus 2. Now when they talk about dividing by these factors, okay, you need to substitute in then the opposite value for x. Okay, so in this case then minus 2. Okay, and they'll say then that the remainder then, when you put it in, is minus 24. Okay, so in other words, if we put minus 2 in here, you get this to be minus 24. So we just need to work this out. Now when you cube something, times by itself and by itself again, so that'll become 8. Negative 8, of course, the sign doesn't change when you cube. So negative 8 times 46 is negative 48. When you square, it does become a positive, so minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4. Negative 3 times negative 2 is plus 6. Take away 2 minus 24. Okay, this becomes then 4a minus 44 equals minus 24. So 4a will equal minus 24 plus 44. So 4a will equal 20. So that means then a will equal 20 divided by 4, which is 5. Okay. Part B then asks us to factorize this curve, and what you could realise is it's the same as this, isn't it? It's the same one, just we know now of course that a is 5. Okay, now sometimes in part A they will say that for instance they will give you a factor in part A. They don't here though, don't they? Because they say when it's divided by here by x plus 2, it actually says the remainder is minus 24. So we can't use this, right? We can't use this as a factor because it doesn't give a remainder of 0. Okay, so that's no good. So we're going to have to find a factor here. If we start off with, say, x equals 1, let's try that. Okay, so with x, if we write this down to start with, 6x cubed plus 5x squared minus 3x minus 2. So let's start off with x equals 1. So f of 1 will equal 6 times 1 cubed plus 5 times 1 squared minus 3 times 1 minus 2. So if we work that out, 6 plus 5 is 11, take away 3 is 8, take away 2 is 6. That's no good. Okay, so that's no good there. Maybe we'll try negative 1. Okay, so f of negative 1, 6 times negative 1 all cubed plus 5 times negative 1 all squared, take away 3 times negative 1, take away 2. Okay, so this becomes negative 1 cubed is negative 1, so that'll be minus 6. Negative 1 squared is positive, so that's plus 5. This becomes positive because negative 3 times negative 1, 2 negatives make a plus. That becomes negative, well, it stays as negative 2. So when you work that out, you actually get 0, don't you? So if we've got x minus 1, and we'll do the opposite, that means then x plus 1 is a factor. Okay, we've got a factor. Now what we can do is rewrite this. You've got to remember when you've got a cubic equation, cubic curve, it's got 3 factors. Okay, so we've got the first factor there, and then we've got 2 more factors. Okay, so we have 2 more brackets. Of course, when you have 2 more brackets, that would form a quadratic, wouldn't it? When you've got 2 brackets, you could perform FOIL on it, couldn't you? And then it comes out with as a quadratic format. So this would become ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, in terms of your quadratic, 2 brackets there. We just need to work out what a, b and c are now. Once we work out a, b and c, we can then find out what those 2 brackets are. Now what's great is that a, b and c come out rather quickly, right? What we're going to do now is we're going to actually equate the coefficients. So if we look at the coefficient of x cubed, okay, is 6, right? Now in terms of how we get x cubed here, when you multiply out, you just multiply this by this, won't you? Okay, x times ax squared. So x times ax squared is ax cubed. So you get a out straight away. a is equal to 6. In fact, a is always equal to that number there. Whatever that number is there, that's what a is equal to. C is really easy to get out as well, because C is a constant. If we look here, the constant here is just minus 2. Okay. If you think about it here, in terms of multiplying everything out, it's going to involve x's quite a lot. The only time it's not going to involve x is when you do 1 times c. Okay, so this times c, so 1 times c is just c. So you get your c out straight away. To get your b is a little bit more work, but in this case now I would equate the coefficient of x squared. So you've got 5 here. Now to get x squared from here, think about what you need to multiply x by. Be x times bx, won't it? Which is bx squared, so that's b. But also you can get x squared by multiplying 1 by something, can't you? Multiplying 1. So it's not only x times bx will give you the x squared, but also 1, if you think about it, times ax squared. That will give you an x squared. So you've got your b coefficient, and then you've got your a coefficient here. Alright? And what's good here about this is 5 equals b plus a, but you know a already. So 5 equals b plus 6, because a is 6. Which means then b there of course, plus 6. b then would equal 5 take away 6. Which implies b is equal to negative 1. Okay? So your answer then becomes 6x squared, 6x cubed, sorry, plus 5x squared, take away 3x minus 2 will equal x plus 1. So you put in your a, b and c, so that'll be 6x squared minus x, okay? And then your c is, where was my c gone? Minus 2. Okay, so I worked out my a, b and c. Now all you've got to do is factorize this here, okay? Put it into 2 brackets. Now, lots of ways of doing this. You might have been taught this way. Of course, you might have been taught put 6x in both brackets. Okay, and then they've got to multiply to give, if you remember there's a number in front, you've got to do 6 times 2, so minus 12. So you've got to multiply to give minus 12. You've got to add up to give that number there, which is minus 1. So 2 numbers that multiply to give minus 12, add up to give minus 1. So in terms of multiplying to give 12, 4 and 3, isn't it? 4 and 3 multiplied to give 12. You want negative 12, so one of these has to be negative. But you also got to add up to give minus 1, so that would work, wouldn't it, if you have minus 4 then plus 3. They add up to give minus 1, multiplied to give negative 12. So it'll be minus 4 plus 3. And of course, because I times by 6 to get that multiplying number here, I've got to sort of pay back, divide by 6. If you go through this then, factors in here, well, 2 is a factor here, so take 2 out. 3 is a factor in here, so take 3 out. All over 6. 2 times 3 cancels with the 6, so you're left then with your answer. So if we go back then to the top, it becomes x plus 1, and then that becomes 3x minus 2, 3x plus 1.